Hi, my name is Alejandra Sofia. Thanks for clicking on my video. This is Star Power Alchemy YouTube, bringing to you the astrological news from the macrocosm to the microcosm of you as I interpret it. So the gospel according to Alejandra Sofia. This is the week ahead, and today I'm tuning in from April 30th, 2019, and I filmed yesterday for all of you who do look forward to my Monday reports. I failed miserably in my attempt to film and listen to it, and it did not at all meet the grade inside of the messages I was receiving, and I was filming when Saturn was preparing to turn retrograde, and so things have really shifted, and I'm going to speak to that now. That we are in a week, so I'm tuning into this particular week of April 29th. So I'm tuning in from April 30th, but this is the week of April 29th to May 6th, 2019. And in this week, there are several points that are key. Here are the key aspects of this week, April 29th to May 6th, 2019. Saturn moving retrograde on April 29th. The dark moon from April 30th until Friday, May 3rd. And the new moon on Saturday, May 4th. So, those are the three key aspects to this week. With Saturn moving retrograde, so we are in a time, both Pluto and Saturn, this is the first week now that Pluto and Saturn have turned inward. They've become contemplative in the signs of Capricorn. So, and while we are in the sun sign of Taurus and in this dark moon, so in this fourth quarter moon phase, it's still inside the lunar wave cycle that initiated itself through the April 4th Aries New Moon. And that's still resonating through this 29 day cycle that we're inside of. That the purpose, the soul level purpose of the dark moon phases is to release us into the mulch of now, and it's the latest, it's the latest, most upgraded, most updated moment. And so this is about update. This is about upgrading right now. The dark moon phases have an essence of upgrading, and in order to upgrade, you have to release, you have to mulch, and we go through this every month. And we have our personal cycles. We actually go through it daily as well. Every day we meet a dark moon phase energy in the evenings, and we're releasing the day, we're releasing the past. And so what's really being called into that is knocking on the doors of consciousness right now with Saturn and Pluto. Now Saturn freshly having turned retrograde yesterday, and I don't know about you, and please share what you're going through. If you'd like to participate a little bit more with my channel, share with me what's resonating for you and what's resonating through you in terms of that inside of you that is calling for your attention, that deep spirituality of living with presence, in a moment by moment presence of something inside of you awakening you to new levels of consciousness, of just like, this is my life, every moment is my life. And what is being, because we are in the final quarter of the new moon in Aries 28-day cycle lunar wave spell, I call it, and preparing for, as we're releasing, so we're mulching, we're releasing and preparing for the new moon in Taurus, and that's coming in at the 15th degree of Taurus on May 4th. So because we're in the sun sign of Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is the chalice, Venus is the Holy Grail, and what's being called into attention, a very loud, I hear it as a really loud knock right now, and I'm curious about what other people are experiencing, but a loud knock on your spiritual door of your heart to wake the F up to the here and now. And how we wake up is through the replenishment of Venus And Venus is replenished. She's the Holy Grail. She's the chalice of our hearts. She is replenished through tapping into the most essence of all the most essence of all essences, and which is a leading home to an oasis in our own hearts, in our own being. And how Venus becomes alive in her present moment and through all of us is through gratitude. It's through gratitude. Taurus, that is the greatest economy of the soul. That is the greatest exchange between, in terms of this energetic field that we truly live in, where all things are energy, and how we use our energy, and consciousness is energy, and where we put our attention unconsciously, and as we're clearing out the unconscious deficit, spiritual deficit, what we find is a culture that is based on ingratitude and an arrogance of opulence that has been passed on to us, sold to us, and is direly in creating spiritual deficits within the human soul. And so Venus, the soul, the heart of hearts, she's the heart star. She is the soul. We are born to this earth through the passages of Venus. We are born to this. There's all these beautiful, mysterious, multidimensional truths of how we've come to be here on planet Earth, and what this mythological story that we of the living are living. And one of the things that when we suffer from ingratitude and we suffer from arrogance, it can only be that is derived from forgetfulness. And so in the secret passageways of our hearts, in this time of Taurus, with Saturn and Pluto now freshly retrograding, coming into our own contemplative nature, contemplation, to come into our temple and release where we're not living in love, and how we release to that is just the simple state of like, am I in gratitude or am I ungrateful? Because when these attitudes, these two choices, these two pathways of living with, the chalice half full ideology, and a way of putting attention on a daily reality, moment by moment reality, second by second, minute by minute, to live in the fullness of our hearts, to live in the fullness of our moment, and to be as present as we possibly can be, is the greatest intimacy of our own soul with the soul of the universe, which is this energetic exchange that our own beingness and this multidimensional magical blueprint that we get to live as human beings, these alchemical beings who are, as we weave into the universe. And that is what Tantra is. Tantra yoga is a weaving, a union. I mean, the two words themselves, Tantra weaving and yoga union, that is each breath that we take, every ounce of our being is the delusion is that we're separate. We're not separate. Our whole culture, modern day life, has been built upon these ideologies of separation, and that the body is in separation from the mind, and that's been the great tragedy and travesty of our times. And so, but it's up to us, and that's what this time that we're in right now, in this truly holy week. And holy being holos, holy being wholeness, that we're each seeking in our own beingness, our own wants, and what lives in the human blueprint, the desires of union, of fulfillment. I mean, who doesn't want fulfillment? Everyone wants fulfillment. It's in our blueprint. And what's not fulfilling us is these really, truly treacherously, spiritually defunct belief systems that are emotionally draining us and taking up our time. And so that's basically on a spiritual, like advancing the human experience with Saturn and Pluto, this really important time that we're living right now in 2019, in which Saturn and Pluto are inside of within a 10-degree conjunction. And right now that started on December 22nd, 2018 in this spring. And right now they're within a 3-degree conjunction, both having turned retrograde, saying, okay, now something has got to stop, and I cannot live the lie of this culture anymore, because these are cultural planets, and it's the individual, it's each one of us in our own uprising that is going to topple the old regime of living in separation and feeding the delusion and really just taking up our own time. And that's where Taurus is just like, hey, hold on just one holy sec. Okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm here, I'm in a body, and I'm living ungratefully, and I can't seem to get anywhere because nothing's ever good enough. I can't live, I'm cashing that belief system in because I need the gold. I need the gold and the fruits of this earth. And so on these days of beautiful Beltane spring days, and this is the week of Beltane. This is the week of Beltane. And these sacred doorways in the 365-day-year cycle of the seasons, and these initiations into arriving into the earth, arriving into presence. And all Taurus is our own union through our own body, through our own breath, through our own presence. And I'm sure anyone who's listening to this has had those moments of when the stress leaves you, you come into a wholeness within yourself through meditation, whatever exercise, whatever any kind of breakthrough that breaks you out of everyday consciousness and brings you into a unity consciousness that transcends time and unbinds time and lands us into timelessness and into eternity. And so, have you ever felt eternity, that feeling of eternalness and timelessness? That's you meeting the Taurian life stream in yourself. That's you surrendering and feel. That is the Taurian life stream, because all Taurus does is land and land into the to the natural state of beingness. And so this week of these two, of Saturn now and Pluto now turned inwards, and the dark moon, there is releasing, because the dark moon, it's in Pisces right now on April 30th, and then it's going to move into Aries tomorrow. And there's a real clearing out these next 3 days. So from May 1st, Beltane, we arrived to May 1st, Beltane with the moon in Aries. And that's just really kicking up some, what it feels like it's just kicking up some dust inside, like kicking up some, I'm done. Like Aries is a rising up inside. It's a standing up to your life. It's a self-reckoning. And so there's and it's inside in this new moon or this dark moon. So a self-reckoning, Saturn and Pluto in contemplation, going inward and landing into the earth of the Taurian sun, earth, and energy of Venus. And so there's just this, it's a really exceptional week for clearing out your own personal spiritual deficit and landing into gratitude and everyday gratitude, and really, coming in to be your own spiritual doctor and saying enough is enough. And oh my God, this is my life. I am going to die, and I don't want to live like this anymore. I feel emotionally bereft. I feel I've been, you could be someone who's been living totally the way society says this is the success path, and you're unhappy. So the thing with Venus and Taurus is she does hold the secrets of the tale of the Holy Grail of the secrets of happiness and the fountain of youth that is eternal, and there are truly these eternal gifts that each human being seeks within their own divinity. And when ideologies become enmeshed in power struggles, and that have been power struggles that have been tormenting the human spirit and the human soul for a long time now, and claiming territories of godhood that can only, and that claiming territories through religions and even twisted up into governing frameworks that twist up the human soul, twist up the human mind, twist up and entangle the human being. That's what this time is about, because we're in a year of individuation, coming into your individuality, each one of us coming into our individuality, blooming within our personality from the heart of our hearts. So coming into self-love. Taurus is about finding that sweet space in the sweet honey in your own heart, and just feeding that like a hummingbird and bees seeking the nectar, and that is our soul. That is mimicking that which is happening in nature, is mimicking the journey of the human spirit, uniting with the soul and personality to really live a life of fulfillment. And that is what success is. So that old world of that old version of reality is dying. It's dying now. Each one of us is a part of it. And the revolution is our own intimacy with our own self. Each one of us in our own relationship, intimate relationship with our own beingness, so that we can, each one of us in our way, find our self-love. That is the essence of this week. And, I don't think I can encapsulate it any better. It is the intimacy of yourself with your own soul, and what you have to rectify and become accountable to within yourself. So that self-honesty that opens up self-realization and self-understanding, that allows you to release, that allows you to brim into openness, because that is the natural state of the heart. The heart is just beating constantly, right? The physical heart. And so is the spiritual heart. It's constantly beating, but it's our mind and our entangled emotions with our intellect and the confusion that entangles it. So when the entanglement gets released through forgiveness is a pathway of releasing. Acceptance is a pathway of releasing. Acceptance is a very potent medicine of the heart. But it's not an acceptance that allows for defeat, because defeat is a spiritual deficit. Although it depends on how you're looking at it, because when it's time to defeat ingratitude, that's a feat that needs to be accomplished, because ingratitude is a sickness of the heart, and it feeds off the human spirit, and it's actually a demon. Ingratitude is a demon. And so as we become, each one of us in our own, each one of us, it is up to each one of us to pick up the challenges of our own spirit, of just coming into gratitude for what we have, to tap into the abundance stream, because that's what Taurus is in timeless abundance, that the universe is in abundance. It's tapping into Lakshmi, the energy of Lakshmi. The Bija mantra Shreem is abundance, that constant streaming, undiluted abundance that is always eternally happening in the here and now. And it's up to each one of us in the chalice of our hearts, the chalice of our human beingness, to open up to that reality and release the negative ideologies that are causing a blockage and preventing the natural flow of your state. And so there is a tremendous undertaking there. And so for this week, I just invite anything that's come up for you with what I've already stated, that there is an uprising happening this week of like, I just can't take it anymore. And there are also in coming into accountability with oneself, because of the moon in Aries, the dark moon in Aries that precedes the Taurus new moon on Monday. That dark moon in Aries is encountering a lot of energies here. And so we've got the moon in Aries coming into a conjunction with Chiron on on Wednesday, while Mercury in Aries makes a square to freshly retrograded Saturn. So in the quiet darkness of 1:50 a.m., the late hours on the Pacific coast, Oregon time, California time, Washington time, so that's late tonight, going into the wee hours of May 1st. There's a soul reckoning happening there. That's a powerful soul reckoning of being like the Mercury in Aries is willing to stand up to something that the Saturn in Capricorn, your own teacher inside of you, that is telling you, dude, this is what's happening. This is the reality. And and receiving it neutrally, I mean, that's the best way to deal with it. It's to take it, hear it, feel it, know it, see it, claim it, accept it, see it, so you can hold yourself accountable. So that is holding yourself accountable for something. And this is all the while Mars and Gemini is making it in conjunction to Saturn and Capricorn. So that makes things really interesting, because Mars and Gemini is just willing to open up. Mars and Gemini lives in this multi-dimensional 360-degree open doorways into freedom. And so there's a feeling of wanting to free yourself. Oh yeah, Mercury in Aries, Mars in Gemini. That's an interesting reciprocal energy there. So it's a coming into self. It can feel self-condemning, but it's not to condemn. It's to hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable so that you can get real with something and move on and stand up to something. And so on May 2nd, the moon in Aries comes into a conjunction with Venus. So there's this renewal, a really sweet renewal of uniting your heart with your own, uniting yourself with your tribe, with your people. So there could also be conversations, kind of sort of rectifying relationships, and because you're rectifying yourself, your own relationship with the universe. And then Mercury in Aries coming into a square with the freshly retrograded Pluto. So there's just more of that emotional release, like, because Venus or Pluto in Capricorn is about, on the deepest level, it's about emotional mastery. And that means self-responsibility. And that means massive letting go, massive action with forgiveness, massive action with accepting and letting go of the past, and massive action in coming into receptivity to the here and now fully, and working with your visionary capacities, going frontal lobe, learning how to hemisync your brain hemispheres. Yeah, hemisync. And that was Bruce Lipton, a new word. And then so that's power. That's a powerful self-reckoning, emotional mastery. Like, I'm done with this. I'm done with being a child, and I'm growing the F up. And spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. So the Mercury in Aries coming into a trine with Jupiter in Sagittarius, also on May 2nd. So there's just this holy release, the releasing. Oh my God, there's so much release happening with this Aries dark moon. It's so powerful. And then Friday, May 3rd, we've got the moon in Aries meeting Mercury at the wee hours of 1:47 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah. So, and then the moon, and 12 hours later coming into Taurus. Well, moon moves into Taurus on Friday the 3rd, and then comes into a conjunction with Uranus and Taurus. Okay. So that Mercury conjunct the moon in Aries, and that's the last aspect it makes before the moon moves into Taurus. So there's just this almost revolutionary cry, kind of like a battle cry, and broadcast. There's something there with just speaking, understanding, because that's how Mercury really thrives in communication, when it understands something, when it groks something. And so something's being understood about how to move forward, about what to do, what to let go of. So as you arrive to the moon in Taurus, and it immediately conjuncts the Uranus in Taurus, and that has now advanced into a degree it has not been in 84 years, and that is the 4th degree of Taurus. So that's what we get on the 3rd of May, before we go into the new moon energy, which is really inside of the new moon energies at this point. But We wake up to a very strong new moon energy on May 4th. The new moon happens at 3:45 p.m. Pacific time. So on Friday, that's a really important aspect that's happening. That day is a real revolutionary landing into oasis, inner oasis, inner release, into releasing things that are not bringing you happiness, releasing states of mind and that are preventing you from being in your here and now beingness, and releasing those ideologies, releasing those ways of being. So powerful, and that's a revolution, and it's really a it's just releasing what needs to be released so that you can feel yourself engaging your parasympathetic nervous system more, rather than living through your sympathetic nervous system, which is constant stress. So it's needed. That Taurus is rising up right now. The chalice is rising up saying, I need to fill my cup. I need to fill my cup, and therefore I am now willing to let go of these things that I need to let go of so that I can have that, so that I can feel that, because I'm done. I'm tired and drained of this spiritual deficit that I'm living daily, and it's over. So, and then we got the new moon on May 4th, and that's it. This new moon is releasing us into a whole new season, and I will be posting a video on that in the next couple days on the new moon in Taurus of how and why it's releasing us, and the opportunity that we have to really engage ourselves on a deeper level. And these are acts of revolution that are absolutely necessary for us, each and every one of us, to claim our birthright. And our birthright is happiness. Our birthright is fulfillment, and that is going to take acts of revolution and evolution to let go of cultural ideologies that are based on much delusions and massive spiritual deficits. So before I go, I'm just going to speak briefly to Sunday the 5th, so now we're in new moon energy on Sunday the 5th, and things are just sort of getting up and going on a whole new level, because it's just a new game. There's a new game in town. There's a new way of being in town that's really wanting to be birthed in your life. And so it's just waking up to this new day of like, what do I really want to do? How do I really want to live my daily life? Because I can't live it like that anymore, and I'm done. And I do want to create a world that's based on health and happiness and harmony and community. And I'm done separating myself in the way I've been separating myself and living in any kind of daily emotional anguish. So with one's own self. So there we go, friends, new friends. Please subscribe to my channel, like, dislike, comment. Sending you all much love. If you're interested in a reading, starpoweralchemy@gmail.com to highlight exactly where all this is taking place in your chart, because you are unique. There is no one else that is you on this planet. So how do you be the best version of yourself? Astrology can help you with that. So again, much love. Please subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.